think that's hello everyone. Welcome to another webinar on the welded and bolted connections using CYPE and CYPE 3D today. Now we're just going to wait just a couple minutes for these last few people to hop into this webinar. In the meantime, if you guys could just confirm the audio quality on your end by either raising your hand or just inserting a question. I'm sure someone can. Thanks, John. Perfect. So we'll just wait a couple minutes for this. Okay, perfect. So let's make a start. We've got the majority of people in. I can see that the sound quality is fine. Ahmed, I hope the sound is fine now that I've unmuted myself. G'day guys, welcome. I'm Asher. I've been doing these webinars for the past few weeks now. Now this webinar is going to be on welded and bolted connections. So particularly on our steel sections, and we're going to have a look at CYPE 3D, which is a program in our repertoire that deals with of course, the welded and joint connections in steel buildings, and of course, there's that interoperability with CYPE CAD for our reinforced concrete members as well. Now, how I'm going to structure this this webinar is I'm going to go through a little bit about the BIM Service Center, which is what we like to do, and then we'll jump into CYPE 3D, create an example, a little example project. Maybe amend some of those welded and bolted connections, and try to explain how to maneuver around them, and also showcase our design feature where we can actually design these connections automatically, taking into consideration all the environmental needs and sort of case-by-case basis in which we would design our welded and bolted connections. Now, a little bit about the BIM Service Center, and how the sort of puzzle fits together. Well, basically, how we like to start off is we start off with an architectural model. This architectural model is can be taken from any sort of program. So you've got Revit, you've got ArchiCAD, Allplan. You know, we've got programs within our repertoire that'll bring in your architectural model into our native IFC format, and that's the format we like to use with our solution. And basically what we have in our repertoire, and you guys will be able to have a look in bimserver.center, is a vast catalog of different solutions for different respects within our repertoire. So we've got, right now we're dealing with these the structural solutions, so things our solutions such as CYPE CAD, CYPE 3D, etc. But of course, the BIM Service Center and CYPE, we basically have a full solution to a construction project. So we've got acoustics, you've got HVAC, etc., and how it basically works. And you can see here the sort of example projects that we have. Now we can have a look at this one. You can see here that this is the Crown Hall Mines project that I'm a part of. You can see here the only model that I've chosen to make visible is my structural model. So you can see my foundations, my beams, columns, etc. If I come over here, you can see that I'm able to toggle on and off those models. So for instance, you can see here the structural model is the only one selected. I can turn that off if I want to, and turn on the architectural model, for instance. Now, what actually happens is you can see here the architectural model. So the architectural model with those fundamental aspects, so walls, columns, etc., openings, windows, that's all within the architectural model. But then, of course, by using the solution, by using the full capacity, we can of course make different models corresponding to different areas. So water equipment, if I make the architecture transparent. Sorry guys, my internet has been playing up a little bit today, so let's just hope everything's fine. You can see that this is still loading. It's just a bit of a solution on a bit of a error on my end. But here you can see carpentry. So those are those frame windows. Our structural model, plumbing, water systems, etc., etc. Where we can actually, at the end of the day, have a full solution where different models work hand in hand with each other. So, for instance, when we're dealing with energy, perhaps our energy load calculations, they are all transposed and interoperably connected with different programs. So if we're doing with the energy, we have our lighting as well. We have our different behavioral programs as well, where we can look at the solution as a whole. And of course, at the end of the day, everything is condensed in BIM Service Center. So literally any stakeholder would only need to have a login, which is quite easy to make. It's just an email verification. I would need to grant him permission to view this project, and he can basically get everything from here. And by everything, I really do mean everything. Now you can see here the file section. I would literally just need to go into the file section, look up each model, right? And then see the corresponding files that are associated with that model. So for instance, if we had, for instance, our structural model, the detailing of our joints, which we're gonna have a look at later on, that can all be obtained within the BIM Service Center. So one location for one project. And this sort of, and so what does this mean? It basically means that prior to this workflow, there was always this sort of tedious nature of finding all the documents from different respects, etc., and bringing them all together. Not with this. Everything is in one place. You, as a user, as a stakeholder, are able to come here, view the latest changes to each model. Of course, these changes are all updated live because of our synchronization capabilities. And yeah, basically you can sort of understand the capabilities here. They're quite vast, if I may say. Now, in terms of questions, I'm going to be taking questions at the end, but then again, if you, I won't miss your questions if you ask them. I'll try my best to answer them, depending on how much time we have at the end, and also how many questions we have as well. Now, that's a little bit about the workflow. How does our presentation today connect with the workflow? Well, basically, we're dealing with the structural model. So for here, you can see I've toggled on my structural model here. Basically, if the joints and welded connections are defined, we can, of course, again, grab all those files and detailing from the file section in the BIM Service Center. But then, of course, we can also visualize them here in our 3D view on the BIM Service Center. Now, another thing I want to go over before we get started into the program is the types of connections we do, the types of welded and bolted connections we do. Now, I would highly recommend you guys to go onto the CYPE website and view this if you guys are interested in knowing exactly which ones we do, because then, of course, we don't actually do all the connections when we're talking about multi-dimensional, multi-plane connections. There is some limitations where we have with that, but then, of course, you can come over here into the CYPE website, home, English, products, joints, bolted building joints. You can see here we have a vast range of all the different codes that are implemented. We're going to view those in just a moment. But then, of course, all the bolted connections that we do, and you can view those all here with a little description as well. One thing to take note with all these connections is that they only exist in two planes. What do I mean by that? You have the Y plane and the X plane. There isn't the sort of possibility to do angular connections, etc., especially when we're dealing with our steel I sections as well. And here you can see, of course, there is the other ones with the welded connections, but I would highly encourage you guys, if you guys want to get a better understanding about the full capabilities of the program, I would highly recommend you guys read these sort of capabilities here, again, on the CYPE website. So you can have a read about all the information on pre-stress, non-stress balls, and the sort of connections we do. Basically what it is we take the codes, so the different codes that we've implemented from around the world, from Singapore to the US code to the EU codes. Even now, we're trying to implement the Australian codes as well. Within our structural programs, all those catalogs of materials, of bolts, etc., specifications are all brought into the solution. So straight from the code, we bring those in. And this actually has some quite large benefits, because, for instance, when we're dealing with our reports, etc., our report generation is absolutely impeccable. We get straight word for word out of the code why certain things didn't meet the check, or etc., and we can actually go into the report and see exactly the formula that we didn't satisfy, or the sort of parameters that we haven't satisfied. And also, this works in conjunction with our smart design features. So we can actually tell the program, hey, look, we've got this environment, I've got this soil bearing capacity, etc. These are all my loads. Design me a joint, and we're going to have a look at that. But what I just wanted to show was, of course, this particular page on our website where we go into specific details. Now, of course, this is what we need to look at. This isn't something that I can go through in a 1 hour presentation, the exact capabilities that we have, but I'm going to try my best to. But I would highly recommend, again, for you guys to have a look. You can see that all these joints are grouped into certain groups. You can see here the joints number 4, etc., and all the different types that we do. And you can see all the consultations that we do as well. And we're going to have a look at that in just a moment. Now let's have a look. Give me 1 moment. And that's basically what I wanted to show. Here you can see at the end a link to all the different groups of joints that we do as well, and then a few capabilities that we are able to have a look at as well. So that's basically it for the preparation. Just the initial thing. What I just wanted to show was the BIM Service Center, how everything works together with our solutions. And we can actually have a look. We're going to create a new project, and I'm going to design a very simple building, a very simple steel structure, and then we're going to have a go at designing some of our welded and bolted connections manually, but also using our smart features as well. So that's a little bit about BIM Service Center and the program. I would highly recommend you guys to actually come here, make an account with BIM Service Center, and just play around with the store. You can see all the different solutions that that we have in our repertoire. But then, of course, you can see all the different types of projects that are able to be designed here as well. And we can come back to this later on if we want. Now, let's open up CYPE 3D. I'm going to create a new project, CYPE 3D. Now, you have some options before. You can create a new project. You can open a project that you have already from the file manager. And then, of course, there's some examples. Now, we're going to look at some examples later on just to really show the capabilities here. But of course, you can see the recent files and also some help documentation on the right-hand side. So let's create a new project. I'm going to create this one as so I can accept that. Then the program wants me to choose whether I have a IFC file already. I don't, so I'm going to create an empty project. And then here we have the sort of general data section within CYPE 3D. Now, of course, we don't actually have to amend these prior to starting the project. We can do it within. We can do it at any time. we can change these. But of course, what I like to do is just have a look at the sort of capabilities that we have. So here you can see all the codes. We can have a look at all the different codes that have been implemented here. So for concrete, all our different codes from South America to the States to Asia, as well as most of Europe, of course, and cold form steel, rolled steel, timber, and aluminium codes as well that have been implemented within the solution. We don't need to bring in categories. No, that's fine. So then, of course, I'm able to select the type of sections that I'm going to be using. Amend my loads so I can introduce dynamic earthquake loads, additional load cases, fire resistance. I can also introduce a construction process as well for defining these beams. Some options as well that we have here. You can see here, if I come over to joints, I have the options for selecting the material, the type of bolt, and the type of concrete as well. I also have a cutout as well, where I can choose my types of bolts, my stiffeners, and my base plates that I'm going to use. And you can see here, from this particular Eurocode, you can see that this bolt series and steel classes and diameters all get inputted from there as well. Let's have a look. There is some codes here. Fayrouz asks if there is the Indian code. Yes, there is. The IS 456-2000, that's been implemented as well. Just a quickly answer that. Now what I wanted to do was go back to the options. Again, we have the available diameters for our non-stressed and pre-stressed bolts. So you can see here, upon selecting each code, the available diameters and everything changes for that particular code. And then of course we move on to our stiffeners. So we have these different options for always providing in-column beam joints, always providing ridge joints, and stiffeners as well. Now, of course, there's the base plates as well that we can have a look at. The Mansum, all the different specifications for my base plates. Now, this can all be done upon introduction of a base plate, but it can also be done prior to introducing as well. So that's quite a nifty sort of tool. Of course, we then again reinforced concrete, foundation soil, so we can basically have a look at the full potential and full specifications prior. Now let's finish. There's some limit state options, and here we go. So this is the environment that we work in CYPE 3D. What I'm going to do prior is I'm going to create some planes. Oh, sorry, not layer management. I need to go to levels. I can create a first level. So ground floor at 0, first floor at 3 meters, second floor at 6 meters. And we can create that. Now, of course, the program will ask you to define the levels later on if you don't do it now. And you can see here, upon doing that, these sort of reference lines get drawn out for me. Now, let's have a look. I'm going to create a few nodes now. So let's create a new node. Starting from the bottom. Let's do these 3. Now what I'm going to do, let's do this 4 meters. And now I'll be able to insert my nodes here as well. Another 4 meters. And just inserting those nodes as such. Now I'm going to come over here a bit more. Let's go another 4 meters. Now you can see that I've introduced my nodes by holding, now this is a little shortcut, by holding the shift key and clicking the scroll button, I can pan around and consult my 3D view. But then of course you can also use the options here to move around in the X and also the Y direction, and consult those checks as well. Now you can see I have different options for labeling. You can see I've chosen just to label it with the numbered sections that I've done as such, and I've just missed that one there. Perfect. Now let's look at inserting our bars now. So we can come over here to bar, new bar. I'm going to select this bar over here, and you can see here the types of bars that we're able to select. Now, for joints and for those sections that we've designed, we can only do a simple section connection. So again, what I mentioned was we can design joints and bolted connections in 2 planes, but also for simple sections only as well. Now, let's have a look. Let's create a simple section. This one I'm going to have it as our HEB 240 with a simple section. I can, of course, introduce fire resistance. I'm not going to. And I can insert my simple sections as such. So these are my columns. Now, upon completing that, we can have a look at creating another one. Now, instead of HEB 240, let's go for 200 with no fire resistance. This should be fine. So I'm basically just connecting my nodes here. Now, this has to be done before introducing our connections. Now let's have a look, holding shift and moving around. You can see that I've connected them as well. Now I hope the sound is fine. I'm seeing some things about the sound, but that's I'm going to try and move my computer closer. Just give me one moment. Okay. I hope that's better now for all those commenting about the sound. Now, so once I've completed that, you can see I can also consult my 3D view as well, where I can have a look. You can see here that I haven't amended any, I haven't designed any connections here, and that's why the 3D view doesn't actually find those connections here. Now, what I wanted to show as well. Let's come over here to, so we've designed our bars. We can have a look as well at some joints now. So this is where, this is where the amendment of welded and bolted joints can occur. I'm going to now, there's 2 options here. Now we can of course create a new connection by coming over here to new. And you can see here that I have the option for selecting which connections that I'd like to amend now. So if I come over here to the square, what this basically means is I'm going to be taking into consideration the full node with 3 with 3 elements connecting onto that as well. What I can also do is select this particular bar and also the node, or the 2 bars together to amend the connection there. So let's have a look. I'm going to create, for the first one will be for the node. So I can left click on the box here, and you can see here that I get my new connection display here. Of course, I have a 3D view of the connection. You can see here nothing's happened yet. And you can see as well the beams have been defined, labeled as well. And I can also have a look at my vertical column as well. So this 3D view is quite powerful. Why? We can come over here to the element section here, and I can toggle on and off the different types, of course, the background color if I wanted to, but then of course later on the types of elements that are inserted and are present within the connection, and also the text as well if I want it or not. I can bring in the ground, I can bring in the material to have a look at it, and also some object edging and improved lighting scenarios as well that I can have a look at to make it a bit more presentable within our program. Now, with that, of course, there's some projection options. You can see that I can have a look at amending the projection of my connection. There's some projection types as well, so I can have a look at those. I can rotate about a certain point to get a better view. But then, of course, this is just for those viewing options as well. There's also some different options looking at the connections in separate planes. Now, of course, this is a simple sort of connection here, but I haven't even done the connection, but this is just the capabilities that we have here. But then, of course, there is some window options as well on the top right, if you guys didn't know what that I was looking at. I can introduce a reference if I wanted to. And then I can move on to the components. So here you can see column HE240B. I have the option to edit that particular column here. Now, upon editing, I have different options. I can reverse the viewpoint. I can generate some reinforcement elements if I want to. So here you can see the thickness of that reinforcement element and also the material I can select. I can introduce the end trim as well that I can. So here you can see I have the option to make that introduction in accordance with any beam that's connected to that column, and introduce an extension length as well. And also I can introduce a stiffener as well. So this is all to the column that I can do, that I can edit. Now let's hop out of this for a moment. Moving on, we have options for the beam as well. So here I can introduce a welded connection to the beam, a bolted connection, and also some end trim as well. So let's have a look if I wanted to insert a welded connection onto the beam. This is HE240A. So if I can come over here to a welded connection, here you can see the options for a weld that we're able to do. So the first option is, of course, a fillet weld. Then we look at our penetration welds as well. So both double and single bevel welds as well. We can, of course, select any here. I can choose for, where the execution will be, so whether it's done on site or in the workshop prior to assembly. I can amend the thickness as well, so the thread thickness and the length of the weld as well. Now, that's for the web. For the flanges, of course, we can same thing. So fillet welds on both top and bottom, and also simple bevels on top and bottom as well. And you can see the same options here for my flanges as well. Now we can turn this off. With our bolted connections, we have 2 options. So we can use a front plate and also a lateral plate. Now you can see I can amend the front plate with our front plate editor here as well. So I can come over here to that front plate. I can edit the width, depth, thickness, all here. And upon selecting that, I can amend the direction and location as well. I can modify. I can also modify the overhang, and I can introduce a new bolt row if I wanted to as well to the selection. Select the distance, and there you go. I have my my plate bolts as well. I can move, edit, and arrange the bolts as well as such. Again, using the distribution and also the type of bolt that I've selected. Again, using the lateral plate, same thing. So it moves me to the lateral section, and I can of course create a weld here, edit the plate as well. So the same basic options for my front plate I have on the lateral plate as well. And I can also amend the bolt arrangement. So basically the same options for both lateral and front plate options as well. Now, lastly, we have the end trim. So I can introduce an end trim on the top flange and also on the bottom flange as well by selecting those options. Now, what I said was we're going to introduce a, let's have a look at a thickness of 6, a length of 90 mils. And here you can see that the 3D view automatically updates my the changes that I've made, and I can view that that change that I've made in 3D as well. Now, there is another great tool that is present here, and that's the Incidence tab. Now you can see here at the bottom, we have some incidents that have come up. So here it says, beam B, HE240-200B, no stiffness has been found on the other one either, and the joint has not been defined either. So basically what this means is the program wants us to design this particular connection. And this leads us to the next thing in this presentation is the capabilities of our smart design. If we come over here to this icon here, you can see that there's a option to design. I'm going to do that here by clicking design. I have these options here. Now you can see the modules that are available. As I mentioned prior at the start of the presentation, there are different modules that are available for our joints. You can see all the modules are available for me, but this would be as well optional with the software that you can basically have a look and see from the website what sort of connections you're mostly using. Now, of course, the connections differ from location to location, but of course there are some sort of basic original connections that like welded joints. Now you can see here the connection method. So I have the option to introduce all welded connections, all bolted connections, but also a specific type for each element. So here you can see my my A beam and my B beam, both the same sections, but I have the option to introduce welded or bolted connections to each particular beam. I can of course use pre-stressed felt as well for my bolted connections. Let's have a look at one with all welded connections for the initially. Now there's some connection elements as well, so you can of course use the defined configuration for the job. So this particular configuration that I've done, but I can also introduce a specific configuration for the node. So what does this mean? It means that prior, so that window that I had the general settings in, where I was looking at this particular connection, this particular window here, where I can define all my pre-stressed, non-pre-stressed stiffness, base plates, etc. If I, for instance, had a connection or a joint that I didn't want that joint to use those particular materials, etc., I can of course use a specific configuration, which is quite a powerful tool here as well. Then of course, let's use the define configuration. Again, this is just a quick webinar where we look at the capabilities. I'm not going into specifics. And so you can see I can accept. Now the program asked me, would you like to view the complete report of the assessed checks? I'm going to select yes. Now you can see here that this is the code check, and this is another very powerful option that we have that I've mentioned previously. You can see here the status of all the checks are verified, but that's only because I've told the program to design it for me. What this basically does here, if it wasn't all verified, I'd be able to look at the checks that haven't passed and look at exact locations within the standard that I've chosen. You can see here, and you can see that this report will give me this particular value here, or why certain things passed, why they didn't, and I'm able to have a look at those quite nicely here. Now, there we go to the beam as well. So we have code checks for beams as well as columns. So all members get generated a particular report. Now, this is a brief overview about the connection and the check that's been made. Now, this is for each particular element as well. You can see here as well that I'm able to share, right? I can share these. Oh, I shouldn't have pressed that. Oh, that's fine. I can share, I can export as well in different formats. I can also print, and there's also some page configurations that I can view on this particular report. So this particular report is on one particular welded connection check on my B beam. What if I wanted to view the complete listing? That's just over here on the top right. So I can come over here to view the complete listing, and I get a full page, a full report on the particular node. So you can see this is my N10 and all the checks that have been made as well. Again, this report can also be shared, exported, etc., etc. Now, that's a little bit about the code check. Let's have a look at what the program has done. So you can see here by choosing to design, the program designs the welded connections as such. So you can see weld on each vertice of my I-beams that have been defined. I can, of course, edit. So if I'm not happy with a particular weld or a particular definition that's been done, I can, of course, come into the beam section and edit the type of weld that's happened here. I can, of course, edit the end trim as well, and the moment connection reinforcement, which is quite important here as well. So here you can see I can come into here and edit my end plate as well, my stiffeners and my vertical plate here as well. So the same basic principle options prior to designing and also after designing. So you have that freedom. Again, a good nifty trick here is you can see that I can toggle on and off the views for each particular element. You can see here we did prior, we only had a few elements. Here you can see all the different welds, plates, and stiffeners that are defined here. Now, moving on, we had the particular code check that we went through. We have another option to view a complete report, which we went through. Let's just wait for this. So you can see here the complete report of the particular node. Let's just open this fully. So here you can see the detailing of all the connections and all the welds at that particular node. So all my complementary elements, my resistance checks, my geometrical checks, my resistance checks, which I didn't introduce, and everything else is all in one particular section that I can view. Now let's close this. Another thing as well is we can view the detailing individually once we've done everything here. And you can see as well that I can view the detailing and the type of plates that can be. Let's open this. So all my detailing. Now, of course, these options for the detailing can all be amended within the program as well. So if you don't like certain colors, etc., etc., if you want to change the layout, you can do that as well within the program. Let's accept. And here you can see the connection has been made. Now, what I wanted to show was how to do that. You can come over here to the options and come over here to drawings. And I have the option to amend the formats, the size of the drawings, and also the specifications as well. And that can be done quite easily within the program. Let's have a look here. Let's create a bolted connection now. Let's go to new here. Let's move over. And here again, we have the same basic connection. Maybe we can have a look at a different one. Let's have a look at this one. So now I have a 4-member connection that I need to do. I'm going to do this one with bolted connections. Now, I have the option, of course, to go into editing this particular connection manually. Of course, by introducing welds within my diagram here. For both top and bottom column, I can, of course, introduce the trims for my bottom column here as well. So the same basic options that I went through prior, and then of course the options for each particular beam that I can do. So not only are we able to do that for the whole connection, but also for particular connections as well. Now, what I'm going to do here is come over here to the design option again, but now I'm going to do it with all bolted connections. And now upon doing this, I can here as well, so bolted connections and accept. And I'd like to view the complete report. And you can see here all the checks that have been done for each particular section of that node, of course, and all the beams as well. So for each zone as well, which is quite important. And you can see here the connection with the bolts has been made. Now, of course, this isn't the final product. You'd have to go in and edit and define exactly, maybe make some amendments to the overhangs, etc. But that's all can be done on the particular section on the left here. You can see that the components are split into main elements and then also details within that particular element. So if I wanted to just change a particular weld for, let's say, column A, you can see here by choosing by maneuvering around the 3D view, I can select the type, I can view the column, and then also come over here to amend the welds, for instance, etc., or amend the front plate as such. So here you can see, I can of course move a bolt row if I wanted to. If I wanted to move this down, you can see here that I also get the changed diameter. Sorry, the original diameter, but also the diameter that I want to change as well on the right-hand side. Or I can select a certain diameter here as well. Again, of course, I can introduce a new bolt row if I needed some more capacity. And then of course we can modify the dimensions of the elements as well, which is what I've already gone through. Now let's have a look. There is some options here, and that's basically for the welded connection. What did I say? Oh, we can also have a look at the detailing as well for this type of connection. And here you can see quite concise and easy to read detailing for these connections here. You can see all my welds that have been highlighted as well. So that gives a full spectrum and view of all the detailing of that particular node. Now let's save as change. Now what I can do as well is let's have a look at the capabilities on the whole. We can come over here to joints. Instead of generating each one, I can of course generate them all together. But before we do that, you can see here that I can assign and group certain welds as well. So what this basically means is we can, when we're dealing with material schedules as well, that same grouping is defined in those reports as well. So we can basically condense our views quite nicely. Now let's come over here to generate. Now what this basically will do we use to group if possible the connections? I want to group them, yes. So you can see 9 connections have been made. And the program basically automatically defines the connections. I can, of course, edit particular connections. I can come over here and edit the connection that's been made. But then I can, of course, you can see that the program also groups, because I've selected, the program groups certain joints that are similar. That's basically how we would group define all of them quite nicely as such. Now let's have a look. Let's come over here to File. We can go over here to 3D View. And you can see here, the 3D view will define the connections, and I can view those within the whole design. Now let's have a look at a few examples that we have within our repertoire here. I'll come over here to examples. So this is a warehouse example. Let's open this up. So here you can see this is a warehouse that we've defined in one of these examples. We can view the complete structure here. So a full steel structure. You can see we have our ties as well that are that have been defined here. Now there is options for defining that particular connection as well with the tie to the primary beam. Now what I wanted to show again was the generation of connections, and you can see here that the connections have been made. So let's have a look at some connections. Let's look at ones that we haven't looked at before. So this is this is where this is a foundation connection. Here you can see a base plate that's been defined here. I can design again, view the complete report again, but then view as well the bolts that are inserted in 3D as well, the stiffeners and the base plate. So these are the sort of connections that we can make within the program as well. The same basic options for each connection that's generated: the detailing, complete report, design, and also the specific viewing options that I have for that particular connection. Let's have a look at another one. There is some other connections that I'd like to show, and that was with our bars. Now, if I come over here, you can see that I can select the connection with the base plate, but also the one with the tie. So here you can see the connection with the tie as well. I can select the angle, the material, and the section length of that particular angular tie connection. Now, there are some questions regarding a pin base plate connection. That's fine, you can do that as well. So we'd come over here to the node, introduce a type of external fixity here, amend the fixity, and then you'd be able to, this is where you can change the fixity here. So you can change it. You can see here that I've chosen a fixed connection, but you have I think that's a pin connection here, yep. And so that's basically the sort of capabilities that we have when we're looking at welded and bolted connections here. Now, where can we go with this? Basically, this is one feature of the program where we can look at generating our connections. Not only generating our connections, but also looking at how to better understand them. So that was through that was via the report generation that we can have a look at, that we've had a look at, the sort of checks that can be taken from each particular section of that standard that you've chosen before, and then of course the capability to visualize the check that's been done quite nicely. So these are the sort of options that we have when we're looking at the connection design within our program. And upon doing that, you can see by consulting our 3D view that those connections and those automatic connections have been made as well. Now, there is a question from Nagendra asking can joints be designed for extra factor of safety? Now, these options are all defined in the general data. So all these sort of factor of safeties and your load cases, etc., can all be defined here before. So when we're talking about factor of safeties, those all come from the codes as well, but you can define them in additional load cases and also the sort of connections that you have with your joints as well. Now I think that's what I'm going to show. Now, this is time for questions. I'm going to look at some example projects as well, just as we can, just as those questions come in, and I'll do my best at answering them. So guys, that's basically the webinar. Now, be sure to join us for all the different other webinars where we look at specific capabilities for these projects and our repertoire of projects as well. Now, as well, there were some people that have asked within the comments that have asked for options regarding the downloading of these courses. We can of course share those with you. Just make it available. Tell us whether you want the download. We can of course send those to you as well. But then of course I'll just be taking some questions. If you guys don't have any questions, thank you so much for joining. Be sure to join us next week, we're going to have a look at some connections as well. Yeah, no worries, Abhishek. I will send those to you as well, now that you've made us aware that you would like them. So these are all the different projects you can see. There is another question. Let's have a look. Ahmed's asked something about his request for tube or boxing connections. Now, now the thing with tube and boxing connections is you can do it if they are, one, simple connections, and two, they are all boxed connections, not a boxed coming onto a I-beam or a box connection coming into some different types. If you've got a simple box connection, that should define the connection as such. Now, Ahmed, if you're having problems, now basically, Ahmed, my explanation to you is, one, either you have different non-simple sections that have been done, or number two, or you have a connection where where the connection has to be done in more than 2 planes, but we only do it in 2 planes. What I'm trying to say, what I'm trying to explain, is the start of the program, the start of the webinar, which I explained here. 2 planes. You can see here the initial vertical plane and the horizontal plane, and that's where we can make connections with boxes, box tube connections, etc., etc. We can do those, but as long as they're on 2 planes, and that's the question. Now, Ahmed, go back. If those two options are not present within your design, then I would suggest you contact contact me or contact the support team with an email regarding exactly. It may be that you don't have the right module. You can see the modules that I defined prior. Let's have a look. What were they here? So the types of models that I defined prior, so you can see those models are split up into different sections. I can, of course, have a look. You need to, of course, have a look at those and see which modules you need for that particular connection you need, for that particular connection you want. Sorry. So I hope that's answered your question, Ahmed. Let's have a look. Now, Gerard asks, would I be able to import an IFC from a generative design of complex geometry and detail the connections within CYPE? So, when you import a IFC from a generative design, what basically happens is you have a architectural model, right? When you have an architectural model, those connections, if they are recognized from the import, you will be able to detail the connections within CYPE. But then, of course, it depends on what type of connections they are, and also how many members, and again, the type of planes that are presented there. Now, I don't know exactly what you mean by complex geometry, design of complex geometry connections, but if those complex geometry connections entail what I've gone through today, and that website that I've the CYPE website here, all these connections, if that definition of complex geometry is one of these, then yes, we can. And that question was from Gerard Velvihi. I hope sorry if I didn't pronounce them correctly. Philintro wants to download it. No worries, we'll send that to you as well. Let's have a look. Some other questions. Now there is a question on tubular connections as well. So we do tubular connections. Now those aren't here, but what I basically am saying, so when we have those, we had another question prior. So for tubular connections, for our tube or boxing connections as well, basically you can replace all these joints with any simple section, and we can do them. So not only I-beams. This is what I want to get completely across, is that we don't only do I-beams. They are simple sections, but for any simple section, and as long as they are all the same, as long as they all belong to the same family of those elements. So let's move on. We can, KC Lim asked, can we design tapered or castellated sections? We can design castellated and tapered sections, but the connections we don't. Abhishek Agrawal, sorry again if I've butchered your name, that's fine. I hope you'll forgive me. Can the BIM server project files be accessed for us for reference? Yes, of course. Those files, again, are accessible here in the file section of your project, and can be downloaded from this particular section. I hope that's your question. Ahmed asks, can we have combined section from generic part and do the connection design for combined section? If yes, please kindly comment. Can we have a combined section from generic parts and do the connection design for combined section? Let's have a look. We combine the section from generic part of the connection design for combined. I don't exactly understand your question. If you could just rephrase it, I'll do my best at answering that question. Ahmed Fahim. John asks, if a joint has bars in X, Y, and a diagonal member bracing, is it possible to design such a joint inside 3D? So you'd have to design the joint with the diagonal members separately to the main joint, so the main node, and then you'd have to design the bar as I've shown in the presentation. You'd have to design the bar. So you can see here, this is the bracing that's been done. Upon selecting the joint, coming over here to edit, you can see I have option to define the bracing to the joint, and also I have the option to define the sorry, that's the bracing to the joint, and also have the option to define the joint as a whole. I can't seem to select it. Oh, why can't I select it? As such. So I hope that answered your question, John O'Peach. Nagendra asks, would the horizontal box section of a joint box be inclined? Now, if they're inclined, that has to only be in two planes. So if you had a vertical element, if you had a vertical element with an inclined section, that would be in 1 and 2 planes, and you'd be able to define that. Yes. Ahmed, that question previously. Okay, so if you have a U section and an IPE section, no, they have to be within the same family of elements for us to make a connection, which is what I'm trying to explain. To use together, no. So no, if you had two sections of different families, you would not be able to do them. Danish asks how to apply loads on the joints. We come over here to loads, come over here to introduce nodes on loads, and I can introduce a node on this particular joint. So I can come over here to I select the family of load case, the load case that I want to apply the load to. and give me a value as well. And the direction can be done here. So I hope that answered your question, Danish, if ran. Okay, let's have a look. We generally use STAD. Can we use this software for connection only? Yes, of course. Danish asked whether we can use this connection for connections only. That's up to you how you use the program. That's fine. Thanks, John. Can you please? And I think that's it, guys. Now, if I haven't answered your question, it's because we haven't had time and we've gone over. That's fine. If you have, there are some questions that are very detailed in nature that would actually need me to look at the sort of problem you're having, but that's fine. What I'd highly recommend you guys to do, if you have a specific error that you're experiencing within your design, this is for people that have the software, of course, I would write to CYPE, the technical support team, quite easily. You can see here, support@cype.com. These are for, I'm sorry, this is just for some people that have very typical. So support@cype.com. Please ensure that you have a detailed, detailed diagrams within your email that basically spell out exactly what problem you're having. Usually when we have these very technical problems, the sort of emails that we receive aren't technical in nature. Please try and make them technical in nature so that we can basically understand them. Or just include a few diagrams, include a few pictures of the errors you're experiencing, and someone from our kind technical support team, I'm sure, will address those issues that you guys are having. Okay, that's fine. Perfect, guys. Thank you so much for coming and enjoying. I hope everyone's staying safe. I know these are difficult times, but we will get through this, definitely. I can guarantee it. I think it's a certainty we will go through it. I hope you guys enjoyed the webinar. Please be sure to check out next week's webinar where we're going to be looking at another capability within the program that we have as well. Just lastly, Amrith is asking for some sample project files. I will contact my colleagues and let's see if we can send you some sample project files along with the examples that are already within the program that we've looked at. Anyway, guys, stay safe. Thanks so much. This has been Asher. Appreciate it heaps. Have a great day. See ya.